So BlackBoxTV keeps getting better with every single episode that they post. This is the third episode of the second season, episode 18, appropriately titled Trust Me. I love this episode, and I love the fact that it was a much longer episode. I know that Tony possibly was thinking about doing it in a two-parter, but I think it was really smart to do just one video and have it a lot longer. It's really good because there was no way that he really could have shortened it down. There was a lot of footage and a lot of story to be told, and if he would have cut it down more than that, he already took out a lot of stuff, and so it was those 13 minutes. If he would have cut out even more, there would have been a lot less of story, and I already felt that there was some story missing. Now, along with the new intro, there is another new thing for Season 2 that was featured in this episode. I don't know if he's going to do it for other ones, but this was a perfect thing to do in this episode. Instead of having Tony do the voiceover and introduce the clip, the episode right after the TV instantly dives into Taryn's character, Melissa, directly talking to the camera and directly telling you her story. It draws you into the story while introducing it at the same time. I thought that was really well done. I love the fact that Taryn came back for another episode. I absolutely loved her in Leave Me Alone, the first episode that she did with BlackBoxTV, and I was so happy to see her come back. She's a gorgeous girl, and she has incredible talent, and I really hope that she becomes a recurring character or a recurring actress within more seasons of BlackBoxTV, because she is what BlackBoxTV is about. Along with Taryn introducing the beginning, there are these clips, I'm guessing while they were driving to Georgia for their family trip, and it is somewhat blurred, almost doubled images of footage of just random houses and everything. It's really cool because it subtly gives you an idea of where they were going, and it also helps you get set up to that something just is not right. The blurriness is kind of unsettling, and it kind of hurts your eyes, and it just, makes you feel awkward. But it was really well done, very subtle, but it sets you up for the rest of the episode.
When we were first introduced to Brianna's character, she is inside the lake, and she's standing there, and she's almost in a trance. You see, like, the wind blowing through her hair, which is really well done. And I love the fact that Tony used a leaf blower to get that awesome hair blown effect. That is really well done, low budget effects that works perfect for what you needed. He didn't need to go buy a huge expensive giant fan when he just did a little leaf blower. Now when Brianna's character is clearly in a trance, we hear these whispered voices, that are disembodied voices, that are saying her name, also calling out to her saying that it's almost time, and are basically, saying that they'll be coming soon for her. Now, when we first see Taryn Smith's character, she is on the phone with her mother, and she's trying to find out where Brianna has gone. She can't find her, and she's on the phone, and I felt that the phone conversation was just a little awkward. It was too choppy. I understand jump cuts are okay, but when it's in a solid conversation, having it go from one angle to slightly different in a fluid conversation was really distracting and really awkward. It's hard to connect with the actual conversation going on the phone when it's going from like one angle to the next angle to back to that. But it was, I don't know, it was interesting. It was good because that was a very good scene to establish the relationship between the characters. You could tell from the phone call that there was obvious tension between Melissa, Taryn's character, and their mother. You could tell that the relationship was strained. When we next see Brianna, she is laying down in the water at the edge of the lake, and she's got sand on her face, and she obviously fell asleep there and woke up the next morning not really knowing how she got there. She was kind of confused. Now this was the first time that I got drawn out of the episode during this scene, because if you look on her left leg, there is some sand on her calves, and when the camera changes to another angle, it is gone. There's also close-up shots of her face where there is some sand on her face along with her hair. The hair is somewhat within the same place, but the sand on her face does change. And yes, I understand that's hard to do, but it's really distracting to see, oh, there's sand on her leg. Oh, there's not sand on her leg. Oh, there's sand on her face. Oh, there's not sand on her face. It draws away from it, and it takes away from it. And when Brianna's character comes in and Taryn finally sees her, she, Taryn says, I have Mom on the phone. Obviously, saying that was something she did not want to do, but it was like a last-ditch effort because she had no other choice, basically. She didn't know where Brianna went. However, I want to know why. I want to know what the reason is that they are not really so close anymore, and why she really did not want to call the mom. I want to know more about the mom. I want to know where she is, and I want to know what's going on with that character. I understand that Tony, I think, took out some more scenes that had more of her in it. I understand. I mean, it's a 13-minute long episode, which is longer than his usual stuff. But I really would have liked to see more development on the character of the mom. It kind of reminds me of last week's episode, or last episode, where there's the character Terry, where he's just mentioned, but he's not presented, or he's not really explained. His name's just mentioned. Which is almost the same as with this episode, where the mom is getting off the phone and she says that she's going to dinner or lunch or something with Steve, or that she's with Steve. Who's Steve? Who is this guy that she just mentions to get off the phone? Obviously, it's someone that the mother feels is more important than her own children, so she wants to get off the phone and spend time with him. Is he a stepdad? Is that why Melissa and Brianna's relationship is so screwed up? Was there a divorce, and do they not like Steve that much, or did the mom choose Steve over them? I don't know. I just wish I would have known more about the mother. The background music for the phone call is really well done. It fits the scene, and it's dramatic, but it's also subtle. And I love the fact that basically the entire kitchen was completely white, and it really made Melissa and Brianna pop out more. It made their characters more present within those scenes, and like they were wearing darker clothes, so you could see them a lot better. Now, the bathtub scene in this movie was really classic of really good horror films. Even though this was more of a sci-fi, bathtub scenes are classic, and they're almost like a staple within the horror films. And this one was really good for establishing one more weird thing happening with Brianna. This is where we see the hot water knob from the tap twisting by itself, and then it flies off, breaking off, and then starts rotating in front of Brianna's face and flies out the window. And while that's creaking and eventually breaks off, Melissa is walking by and she hears the noises, and she can hear the tap shaking, and she hears it break off. So she tries to, go inside of the door. She's like pounding on it, trying to tell Brianna to open the door, but there's some force holding it shut. Same force that happens at the end when Melissa is trying to go after Brianna, but she can't. However, when she goes inside of the bathroom, it is a bit sudden that she immediately goes and asks for the tap. I would have liked to see more of Taryn actually looking at the sister. I mean, I know that's what she did. Her first concern was the sister, so she looks in at the sister and goes right up to the tap, because she can hear the tap, shaking, and asks where it is. But she goes up to Brianna and like grabs her by the shoulders and shakes her and is like, "What is wrong with you?" I felt that was a bit overreacting. I mean, I don't know what else happened pre the story that's going on, but for just having her missing and, showing up the next morning, and then the weird tap thing that she doesn't even know what was going on. I can understand it if she saw the tap floating and rotating, but just the fact that she just heard it, and there was the one thing before her freak out was like, "What is wrong with you?" Seemed a bit overdramatic, and I don't know, I mean, I know she cares about the sister, but that was just too much for so little actually happening. I love the fact that Brianna was actually laughing at the tap. It was showing her that it was showing us that her character really is amused by what's going on, and she doesn't feel threatened or scared. She's almost excited about it. She's almost excited about being abducted. And I thought it was really cool that the spaceship at the end is in basically the exact same shape that the tap was. So during the bathroom scene, while it's there and it's floating, that is almost the alien's way of saying that this is what we're going to look like. So when you see this, don't be scared, because it's just us, and this is what you're going to be. Or this is where we are going to be, and this is where you're going to go. Now, Melissa decides to go into Brianna's room and sort of comfort her. She's not exactly sure what's going on with Brianna. She feels maybe she's feeling lost or upset, and she wants to help her, help her feel that, they're still sisters. She's still there for her. And she kind of wants to mend their relationship because they haven't been too close since high school. Now, when Taryn is talking about high school and how they've fallen apart since then, that kind of leads me more into the belief that Steve is the stepdad, that there was a divorce, and that could have possibly led to why Brianna and Melissa are not as good of friends anymore, as well as why the relationship between their mother and them is strained. That was a great scene, really well done. I was, again, really... I was really impressed with Taryn's acting. She, when people are crying on screen, sometimes they have a tendency to overdo it. I felt that she did it just the right amount, maybe a little bit not enough, but she had got tears welling up in her eyes, and she had the right emotion, the right delivery of what she was talking about, as well as that was a really, really good way of presenting the backstory of the episode. Now, one of my favorite lines throughout this episode is where the title of this episode comes from. And while Melissa is in Brianna's room comforting her, Brianna replies, "I'm okay. I'm going to be okay, and so are you. Trust me." That is such a brilliant line, such a really good line in a way, it kind of helps you think that Brianna really does have something wrong and she's just kind of delusional thinking that she is okay, but it's also incredibly well done foreshadowing because at the end, obviously, Brianna is taken away and later Melissa is taken as well. During the scene in Brianna's room, though, I kind of got annoyed with the talking heads. I felt it was just way too repetitive and it just dragged on for far too long. It was just, head, 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 head. Like, they needed to maybe have, like, a slow panning shot while it was on someone's face to show more emotion. I don't know, it just... Talking heads is good, but too much of it is just bad, and this was way too much. Plus, when they do that, and you do it too much, you start to look at the person whose face you only see the side of, and you can tell, even though you're hearing their lines, you can't see their jaw moving, so you can tell they're not actually talking during those frames. And that's kind of distracting. And it made me really happy that at the end, there was the dramatic bending down that Taryn did to pick up the actual tap that flew off, which was a good way to close out the story, to tie back in the knob that just randomly flew out. So it wasn't exactly random. It made more sense. And in a way, it's her memento from what happened. However, she eventually joined her, but it was, she wasn't ever going to see her sister again. She had that tap to remember those times. And the music that's playing while Taryn is running after the spaceship, even though it's already taking off and taking Brianna with her, was really good. There was no actual audio from Taryn running or her screaming, except for right at the door, which helps with the music because you're used to hearing sounds. You're used to hearing the normal sounds of everyday life, and the fact that you can only hear the music makes it more surreal. Makes you feel like, is this really happening? It's almost like a disbelief, and it keeps you on edge, and it's kind of awkward. The one thing I really wish would have been a bit more clear was what exactly Brianna mouths to Melissa when she's being abducted. I think it's something like, "I'll see you soon," or "We'll meet soon," or I don't know, something along that lines, which makes sense, but I really wish it would have been more clear and you could at least hear it somewhat. Overall, it was a really great episode. It was so good to see Taryn come back again, and I really hope she comes back for more because she is a staple for Black Box TV. She can become the girl of Black Box TV. She can be the main actress that when people think Black Box TV, they think of her. Granted, that's probably not that good of an idea, but she is perfect for anything Black Box TV. I think that this episode is possibly a contender to beat out my favorite episode. Uh, Oddly enough, they both have Taryn in them. My original favorite was Leave Me Alone, and now this one I think was one of my new favorites because it was really well done. It was really different from what Tony usually does. It was more sci-fi thriller than it was horror, which some people don't like, but I like variety. I like difference, and it's cool that Tony has not actually limited himself to just one specific genre.